Testing, testing. Oh, very good. Excellent. AV. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our third annual CMKL University celebration of International Women's Day. This year, our theme is Byte, 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 When Women Ignite the Tech Light. And I'm delighted to see both familiar and unfamiliar faces here. Delighted to see both women and men. Because I think that in some cases, young men don't realize some of the difficulties and obstacles that women face in coming into a tech career. So what we're going to do today, actually before I start introducing the program, I want to thank the Newton School for hosting us here. This is a great facility, and they have obviously fantastic audio-visual equipment here. I'm used to microphones that are dying on me all the time. So, anyway, so what we're going to do is we have a panel here of women, all of whom have tech-oriented or STEM-oriented careers, and we represent 4 different generations. And so each of us is going to talk about our own paths, what brought us into our careers, what kind of obstacles we faced, what inspired us, and so on. And then to make things more interactive than last year, we're going to be breaking up into discussion groups so that you can talk one-on-one or in small groups with us. Okay, so I'll be introducing, as I introduce the panelists, what the kind of theme or topic of the discussion is going to be. But you shouldn't feel that you have to necessarily stick to that either. And so you're going to be self-selecting who you want to talk to. And hopefully not everyone will go to one room. Okay, and then after that we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about what happened in the discussions and share if there were any insights that came out of our conversations with you. So we really want you to participate, everyone. So let me introduce our panelists, and I guess I should do this in the order. So at the far left here, I have Kun Wanwisa Bunchop, or Kun Ben, and she is the co-founder of Conchware, which is a very interesting sounding company that I want to find out more about, using bio-inspired algorithms in the creative industries. And hopefully she'll explain what that means. Okay, then next to Kun Ben is Dr. Tawhida Maniwan, very old friend of mine, one of the top robotics experts in Thailand. She's one of the founders of FIBO, the Field Institute of Robotics at KMUDT. She's a director of Yanix, which is a very successful visual effects company that was founded and is flourishing here in Thailand. But one of the reasons I wanted her here today is to talk about her latest endeavor, which is her new company, which is called Reina Robotech. And Reina Robotech is focused on agricultural robotics, and specifically ways to use robotics and AI technology in order to make, presumably Thai primarily, right? Thai agriculture more productive, easier, basically to improve economy and improve society. And finally, last but not least, I have Chutikan Kanchanaat, or Eugene, who is next to me, and she is a second-year student in our AI and computer engine. First year. Second semester, first year. Okay, I know you're first year. Sorry. One of the things I love about our students is that they are not shy about correcting their professors. No, Eugene is one of our students, and we invited her here at least partially to tell you what it's like to study at CMKL, for those of you who are maybe considering whether you might want to join us, but also to talk about, like, nowadays, what brings a woman into a tech career or STEM. I also would like to mention that Eugene is an active participant in one of the research labs at CMKL, the Mixed and Immersive Reality Initiative, which is run by Dr. Miri. Dr. Miri says you guys are doing really exciting things, so maybe you'll talk a little bit about that. So anyway, can we have a hand for all our panel? Oh, I suppose I should introduce myself. Most of you know me. I'm Sally Golden. I am an assistant professor and associate director of learning innovation at CMKL University. Before coming to CMKL University, I spent quite a few years teaching computer engineering at KMUDT. Before coming to KMUDT, well, I'll tell you more about that later. So, thank you very much for joining us. And who would like to go first? Any volunteers? No, you can't volunteer somebody else, Dr. Brown. Okay, because of that, you have to start. So tell us about your pathway to your current career and what inspired you, what obstacles did you face?
Okay, so since I'm probably the oldest of the panel except Jali, yes, so I started working, like real work, in 2000. So when I got my PhD, so I started teaching at KMUDT. And back then, it's like in Thailand, you guys have to imagine there's like no robots at all. So I work as the basically first staff at the FIBO, Institute of Field Robotics. And when people call us to make robot, we are excited because no one don't have a robot in Thailand. So from that day and now, I mean, look around you. You have like a robot, like floor cleaning, or like if you go to the hospital, now you can see like robot running around. It's been a long way. So this year is like 24, huh? Yeah, so it's 24 years, things change. Back then, most of my career, I actually quite lucky that I don't really feel like any prejudice because I'm a woman, but it's difficult. The first time, like in 2000, that I built my first robot, I have to install this huge, like, almost 5 meters tall robot at the steel factory. And the robot's supposed to grab like this hot steel and then put it in a bucket. So we built that. And every time when I go to the factory wearing hard hat, people would ask me if I'm like sell Miss Teen, if you know like Miss Teen in Thailand. So they thought I walk in there like selling cosmetic product or something. And like Yeah, because like I'm new. I actually contributed most because it's my like inexperience. I never built a real robot before, and that's like the first time that we have to commissioning the real robot to work in the industry. And it's not easy. I mean, it's a steel industry. Everyone is like male, and I have to actually pay my friend to go with me because I have to test the robot anytime the factory shut down, which is like they could call me at 3 a.m. I have to go in, and it's pretty scary to actually have to be there alone at night, surrounded by like all males, like worker. So that's one of the kind of challenge being a woman in engineering career, especially in the field. I mean, it's not like we don't work in the behind the screen and stuff like that. So when I came back from the States, I wear like high heels and I wear makeup to work. And after that experience, like nothing, like now I look like this. Because it's like actually easier to be like, kind of look like you don't have to present like more beautiful. Like I'm actually, my laziness also, but it's one thing that when you work among like men, it's kind of easier that way. Like wear pants or like wear like more like a macho kind of clothing, which is now, I mean, talking about like new generation, they're probably quite weird, right? Like why we have to think about those things. But back then, when I started working, it's like something, it's the way to protect ourselves. Just like I can't wear short to like factory because they have the race floor. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like this in the factory itself, you can see through. So you can't wear skirt, things like that. So it's an awareness that you have to develop working in the field. And but now, I mean, fast forward, so that now things like change in the world, and I have a lot of students that are women, and they're doing a great job. I mean, in terms of work, I don't think that gender is like different among men and women in robotics. But now my new mission, which led me to start this right now robotic company, is that when you work in the field, in agriculture in Thailand, you have to accept that it's labor intensive. It's really labor intensive. I try to mix compost myself, and then I would like have a backache for 3 days. So the combination of old age and woman is really bad. and that's when I start to think that by bringing robotics to organic agriculture, we're gonna solve that problem of like gender equality. I built all my robots so that a small woman can use it. So I have my farm manager. He's like a tiny lady, this tall. And every test, we have to have her run it because we want to know that the tool that we make empower a woman, that you don't require strength. When you like woman, when you elderly, when you like have some like physical limitation, you should be able to grow your own food. And that's why it's a passion that I keep wake up every day, because so many problems in agriculture that need to be addressed. And not so many people come to play in terms of like physical system. I mean, you can do software, but the farmer need labor. You still need labor in the field. How can we replace that? And it's not easy. It's not like control environment. So I would end my talk here because they're gonna take too long. But yes, that's the angle I come for. I gonna change society in my last like decade of my life. I think.
Hopefully not your last
Decades, like have S in there. But yes, so that's my determination.
Thank you very much, Dr. Powell. So I just met Kunpen today, and I just read a little bit about what she does on her LinkedIn page. So can you tell us more about both what you do and also how you got into doing it, like what your background is.
Yep, sure. Okay. So greeting everyone. I'm Wanwisa Bunchup. You can call me Ben. I'm currently the co-founder of Conquer LLC, a research and development startup focusing on actually using swarm intelligence to create a multilingual education publishing platform. So that's quite a few, like a jumble of big words together. But basically, what we do at Conquer is we're trying to create a new form of media where hopefully less toxic than current like existing social media right now. So basically, we focus on the mobile platform since it's actually way more accessible than other form of devices. So I have some statistics here, but as of current, there's like nearly 7 billion smartphones currently being used right now. So that account for like 85% of the global population of 8 billion. So that's why we are focusing on the mobile sector. And basically, our technology, the swarm intelligence, can be used to mainly right now transform and turn any type of text into interactive media. I'll talk more later if during the group discussions. But right now, things like books, so any type of books, non-fiction, fiction, or textbooks, music and lyrics, movie, films, series, or anything that has subtitles in it, as well as comic books and manga, we could actually turn that into games. And but we are focusing mainly on the mobile game industry to actually make it accessible. And our main goal is to actually merge education and gaming because actually. Since I graduated from high school in like 2010, so at the time gaming, mobile gaming was not actually a big thing at all because like I think historically wise, in 2007, that's when the first smartphone, iPhone, was launched, and that was like revolutionizing the tech, but and introducing the app industry. So I was interested back then on the app and game mobile industry, but there was not like that much like opportunity for me to actually further my studies. So I went into architecture instead for like 1.5 years in Hong Kong, and basically I realized that most of the work my design could not actually be applicable in the physical world, or if I actually use it in the physical, I actually build it in the physical world, it would actually cost quite a few like resources and time and human resources as well. So I actually at the time like in 2010 things like that, Blender like was still primitive and things like that. So I got interested into actually jumping into the virtual world instead. So I quit like the architecture program and then turned into media program. But still at the time, like I think it was only like a few university in Asia that offer like gaming major. So I actually focused my career, my study on media communications. And thankfully at the time, like most of the professor was actually pretty lenient, so they allowed me to actually like focus my electives on like creative technology and gaming. So luckily, like with my own personal research and things like that, I did my thesis on the mobile game in 2015 because like at the time I saw like statistics that the mobile industry would actually, especially the mobile game industry, would surpass like all other like console game industry within 2017. So luckily, I actually know that by 2015. So that's why I jumped into like headlong into the mobile game industry. But I'm not sure if I'm taking too much time. Okay, okay. So then like after, so after bachelor degree, I got a full scholarship for a master degree, and then in media communication again. So at that time, the school that in Bangkok, so the school that I was studying was right next to the game company that I'm working in. So so that was like helping me both academically and then actually the hand-on experience. And then I wanted to tap into like all sort of production pipeline in the game process. So I actually did translation work for gaming as well. So like games like League of Legends, Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, so I did translate that. But then during that time, so 3 years period between 2016 to 2019, I start to realize that machine learning has actually become more and more like significant. Because like in the translation world, for instance, the full-blown like human translation are being cut down more and more, and then they actually use machine learning instead. So by 2019, yeah, before COVID happened, I divert my study into like more like machine learning and AI. And then like when COVID happened, I met my co-founder, and then we spent like doing the 3 years of COVID, doing like deep dive into the research of like at first artificial intelligence, and then emergence intelligence and swarm intelligence. So I'm not a technical person. I'm more of a producer, things like that. So I mainly was doing like academic and industry research, as well as data analysis. And then like my co-founder, which is up there, was doing pretty much like technical development. So after 3 years, we actually created a swarm intelligence that could actually that actually is not relying on the weighted neural network, meaning that it would not be affected by what the current generative AI is having problem with, such as generative AI hallucination, reversal curse, and large language model sleeper agents. Our swarm intelligence would not actually have that problem. Yep, and actually back to the woman part. Actually, thankfully, I actually have another friend that actually is another woman that works in the game industry too. Yeah, when I first started working in a game company in Bangkok, actually I was the first woman in the game sector. That game company mainly have all of the women were in HR. So it was like the ratio of 1 to 10, one girl and like 10 guys. And then by the time I left the company, so like 3 years after that, the ratio was like, well, at the time the company was booming, so like hire more people. But still at the time that I left, it was like 5 women and 50 guys. So it was like, so there was still like that gap. But what I realized more mainly is that women tend to actually go into like production, like so being a producer like what I'm doing, or like UI and graphic design or art and design. But I don't see much women actually going into like programming, which actually I think like if with the advancement of technology right now, with the rate like if you see like since 2020, the tech industry have had a lot of significant shifts, mainly due to the introduction of the generative AI. So right now, I would advise if most of the students that schools and university right now are teaching things that are about the past and the present, because like we need to admit that like right now, compared to our parents' generation, like 40 years ago, like where one career could actually last for 40 years, it's not the workforce landscape anymore. So my recommendation for it's not just women, but students in general would actually be to actually self-study as much as possible while actually choose the major that you're passionate in, because actually do I still have more time?
Well, you need Eugene time.
Oh, 5 minutes. Oh, that way. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's the time. But, you know, maybe we'll like adjust and have you. But thank you very much.
Okay,
I mean,
yep.
I'm really glad that you brought up the question of how to prepare for the future.
Yep.
Because the future's changing all the time.
Yeah, sorry.
I have such a loud voice that I usually don't use the mic. So thank you very much, Ben. So Eugene, tell us about like your path and how you came to CMKL and what you think is your future is going to be like.
What my future is going to be like.
Well, maybe you don't know that.
My journey in this field is actually, I would say, the opposite of many people. It actually started with me having a negative first impression on AI. Because the first thing I ever heard about AI is, this is a super fancy tech that's going to take over so many jobs. I know there are benefits, but the first thought I have in mind was, so these people are going to be unemployed, what's going to happen? But funnily enough, this phrase got stuck in my head so much that I became curious about it. I started joining camps. I started researching about it, and I came across human-centered AI, which is something I agree with, and I am totally for it. It is when AI and human work alongside each other, where there are weakness, one will replace, one will help in that weakness. That led me to a path of studying the basics, the fundamentals, coding, for example. It's a path full of trial and errors where at first I didn't even have the courage to code in projects that I joined with my friends. So I would also resort in just doing UX UI design. That's where I started. When I first learned to code, I failed. I finished a course, I didn't actually understand it. It wasn't until I felt like I had the mindset to actually start learning, truly understand what was happening, that I joined a camp called 42 Bangkok Cuisine, which is when I truly understood, oh, it's okay not to know, but it's not okay not to try. And people in there actually started teaching me about the fundamentals. And that led me to CMKL, where I'm actually working on 2 projects. Like, one of them is what Sally mentioned. It's Holograd, which is led by a beloved professor at CMKL. His name is Dr. Miri. Holograd is basically a project that focuses on holographic visualization on genetic information. So basically, right now, in gene therapy sessions, usually the doctors will have to repeat a series of informations, and they actually would just draw on a piece of paper what is DNA, what is genes, and they will have to do this throughout the whole day. When Dr. Miri heard about this problem, he realized, oh, we can use this new tech, mixed reality, to help out with this problem and actually make it more entertaining, and people can actually get the delivered message. They could actually see, we have one feature where there would be a DNA that pops up that they can actually twist, they can turn, and they could play around. They could understand what is DNA, what is gene, there are informations. It is actually a whole medical system that hospitals can use. It is currently still in progress. The other project that I'm working on is an R&D project, a research and development project, which my group mates are also sitting up there. It is called the Palm Killer Team. It's a very cool name, I know. It is a project that focuses on classifying the ripeness of palm fruits. Currently, when the current method of harvesting palm fruits, they have to slice down, use a long and heavy equipment, slice down a single piece to see the color of the inside. This process is actually very tedious and takes a long time. It can take up to 5 minutes. The thing is, when they cut the whole bunch of palm fruits down, if it is considered unripe, it is considered waste. So basically, all the investment put onto it, it's now 0 baht. They're not getting any profit from it. Since we saw this problem, we thought we can use AI to help with this problem using image processing. Since right now, the palm fruits are actually usually, it average around 10 to 20 meters high. So people would actually have to look out, and you can actually see the color, and that's where AI come in. For me, working on these 2 projects, it made me realize I really do love working on projects. I realized that it really prepped you for life after university, because it taught me more than just the technical side. There were many things that we had to look towards to, like the business side of this project. How would it go? Even the creative side. I never thought I would have to do video animation introducing our project. we did that, and then we presented to you, actually. But there were challenges every single step of the way. Being a freshman and having almost no knowledge on this field, no knowledge on AI actually, my group and I really struggled about starting the project. We did first 2 months of research, still felt so lost. Even talking to advisors, sometimes we still felt so lost because we never did it before. So we are very grateful that eventually we started to grasp the concept, taking it step by step. And it really taught me that when you're working on projects, start with the problem, start with know why. Because it was very tempting for us to switch to an alternative method to make it easier for us on the technical side, but not on the user side. And I felt like that is the most important thing I got from all of this, which is when there's new technology and we are working on it, I feel that new technology should help people, not cause more problem. And that is something I will use to continue my projects in the future.
Thanks so much, Eugene. So we've run out of time, but I'm going to make an executive decision and add 2 minutes to the panel. So I can just say a little bit about my path. The main point I want to make is that your path can have a lot of twists and turns. So when I was 5 years old, my father gave me a microscope and showed me how to look at pond water, look at like the microorganisms in pond water. And I knew I was going to be in some area of science or technology like my entire life. So first I wanted to be an astronaut, but then I realized I was almost blind, and so they were with really bad eyesight, so they weren't going to take me. And then I got interested in molecular biology. I went to university, and then I decided, I wanted to be a doctor. And so I was still in tech science. I took a lot of math. I took a lot of chemistry. I took a lot of physics. And then I met experimental psychology, cognitive psychology. And I became really fascinated with studying how people solve problems or how people navigate in space. And there was a very, very good department of cognitive psych in my university. And the other thing that got me really interested was that there were people, specifically people at Carnegie Mellon, who were using computer models to test out theories about cognitive psychology. So I ended up going to Carnegie Mellon to do my graduate work in cognitive psychology, and it was really fascinating, but by the time I finished my PhD, I was ready to become a carpenter. I will tell you that a PhD is a grueling process, even if you love what you're doing. And I didn't think I was really going to stay in cognitive psychology, but then I got a job doing research. So I did research for a while, and I was working with computer scientists. So I got more and more involved with computer science, computer engineering, and most of what I know about computer science and engineering I have learned through experience and not through my education. So I worked in research for a couple of years, then I started working as a software engineer. I worked as a software engineer for about 20 years, then I came to Thailand and became a computer engineering professor. Okay. In each case, it was a number of factors that pushed me in those directions. But my message is, get the basics and follow your heart. And don't think that right now, those of you who are in university or still, in high school, don't think that you can look at the jobs that are available now, the landscape of technologies that are available now. Don't think that that's going to determine what's going to happen in your life. Be open to change. But on the other hand, always be trying to learn. Things I learned when I was an undergraduate, things like how to write, how to do research, like how to read journal articles. I'm not doing cognitive psychology, except that I think that software engineering is applied cognitive psychology. But I'm not doing cognitive psychology research, but those skills I use every day. And the same thing with math, the same thing with programming. Okay, so never turn down the opportunity to learn something new. You'd never know where it's going to take you. And for me, it's brought me to this wonderful country of Thailand, which is now my home. So thank you very much for putting up with our slight excess of time. Can we have a hand of applause for our panelists? So we have, I think I'll cut off the 5 minutes off of our break. So we'll have a 10-minute break, and then we're going to break up into discussion groups. And so Kun Ben is going to be leading a discussion group about the creative industries, but I think you can also talk about like entrepreneurship, given the fact that you're a startup, because I know some of you are probably quite interested in the idea of starting your own company, and she can tell you what it's like from having been in the trenches. Okay, so Kun Ben is going to be in classroom number 2. Okay, Dr. Prow?
9.
9?
Number 9.
It says 2 here. Okay. Oh, they changed it? Okay. Not my fault then. Okay, 9. Excuse me. Okay. Were there any other changes I should know about? Dr. Prow is going to be in room number 10, and she's going to be sort of, the theme of her discussion is the theme of her presentation, namely, how can we use technology to actually improve society, improve the economy? Don't worry about it. Actually, I guess I need to know what room we're in. Thank you. So please, if you're interested in those kind of questions, go talk to Dr. Prow, or robotics in general, because there's very few people in Thailand who know as much about robotics as Prow. Maybe nobody. And finally, Eugene and I are going to be jointly hosting a discussion in classroom 1, mostly sort of on the theme of education. What's it like to study in computer engineering, in AI, in STEM in general, but also the questions of like lifelong education that both of us have brought up. So if you'd like to talk about that or ask questions, and if you have questions about CMKL specifically, you probably should come talk to us, since that's where we are, and we're going to be in room 1. So what time will the discussion start? 1/4 of? Is that right? 5:45, right. Okay, so like 10 minutes from now, we will see you in the discussion rooms, and we'll spend 20 minutes or so. Bring your questions, and we're hoping that with a small group, you'll be more willing to like tell us your thoughts and your problems and your issues and your concerns. Thank you very much. Welcome back, everybody. And so I kind of want this to be very much of a free-for-all, with people sharing like what their thoughts are, what happened in your discussion groups, or they're like, this is not the sort of thing where you're supposed to come to a conclusion or anything like that. But I guess I'll ask Kun Ben and Dr. Prow to summarize. In my group, I actually had a one-to-one discussion with a student about just what should you be doing if you're interested in studying engineering. And I said, math and programming. And also I said, do what you want to do what you like, okay? So why don't, you want to start, Ben? And tell them, like, what went on in your group? And anybody, like, who was in her group, feel free to, like, raise your hand and, like, sort of add, okay?
So basically, during the discussion, the group session, we're mainly talking about like the game industry and how to function within the game workforce, and as well as the different in ratio between women and men, and how actually how the women and men could actually interact within the game setting, game studio setting, as well as and then we also jumped into like because I was talking about swarm intelligence, making it into using the swarm intelligence to make education into a game. So we were discussing about that as well, and also at the end I was the discussion was towards more like in Thailand, like what type of the direction what would the game industry be. So the emphasis was more on the mobile game industry rather than console and PC. Yep. So that's.
I have a question for you, actually, maybe for Lorenzo too. It seems like right now the game industry is in a slump in terms of employment. I mean, I have heard that many game designers and people have been fired or laid off. Do you think that's going to turn around? And if so, how are things going to be different?
The thing is, the laid off is quite unfortunate, but it's actually not just in the game industry, it's also in the tech industry, the whole tech industry as a whole. But as for the game industry, the introduction of the generative AI really took a toll on a lot of the workforce laid off. However, robots and AI are not gonna, in the long run, they are not gonna replace the human. However, the human actually have to adapt to the robot and AI. So there might be a lot of laid off because like entry level, sadly, for like design, like or art field, Mid-Journey kind of take over it because you can actually generate a lot of pictures within a few minutes. So entry-level job might be on that field might actually be vanishing. However, there's going to be there are already new career popping up in that field. So like people that know how to use like AI prompt and they are now having a new career. So like so it's just a change of from one career to another, one type of work style to another. So the laid off, there's a lot of laid off, sure, but there's also a lot of openings in the game industry actually. It's just the people that got laid off, or they are being seen by the company as what's the term should I use? Maybe more expensive than using the generative AI to produce those image or those art assets or even code, because at one point there was an incident at the beginning of the GPT when it was launched that the Samsung employee actually put the code inside using the ChatGPT. So that one, like ChatGPT would actually also wipe out like maybe the entry level of like coding as a coder as well. So like sorry for the term, but like monkey coders might actually be gone because of the ChatGPT. But the one that could actually use the AI fluently would actually be able to get the job instead.
Thanks. Lorenzo, do you have anything to add about that? In case most people know Dr. Lorenzo, but he's a relatively new faculty member at CMKL with many, many years of experience in the gaming industry at all different levels, including organizing, design, and production labs, and so on. So he has a really deep knowledge.
So I would like to try to answer both questions at the same time. The question about is there a future to find work in the video game development, and the question about what about the Thai people and Thai students who would like to join the gaming industry, and what's the future about it. So I'm working for now a long time in the game industry. I started in '99, and this pattern, this kind of breathing from studio that's recruit a lot, then release the product, and then fire a lot of people. At the beginning, it was kind of odd behavior, and now it became the norm and kind of a business pattern. And unfortunately, that's what is happening right now massively those 2 years. And to answer the question, the future is not about anymore trying to find a place as an employee. I would like for Thai students to see the future and to amp up a bit the notch and to see themselves as entrepreneur who will start their own studio, their own project, and counter this massive industry that's crunching everyone people. So I would like the mindset of students to see, hey, I want to develop my own team, my own project, and basically take position in this landscape. And especially because now a small studio is able to output really high quality, and with AI and all the tools, to have massive power to develop. I believe small team can reach super high quality, and this is the ambition I would like students who wants to join the game industry to have insight and not have a nice resume to participate in this massive butchery every year or so.
Thank you. I agree with you. But one thing that's really impressed me about in the years that I've lived in Thailand is that the Thais are really creative. And that's true of engineers too. I mean, that sounds weird. When I was working at KMUTT, I was just amazed at the artistic ability of my students, even though they were computer engineering students. They would make costumes, they would make floats, they would do dance routines, they would do music. They really were just amazing creative people. And this is not typical, I think, of engineering students in the United States. I think they're much more narrow. So I think there is a huge amount of talent here, at least partially because I think Thai culture encourages people to express themselves in a lot of different ways. So I agree with you 100%, and I would really like to see that. The other thing I would like to say is you are not your job, okay? So if you get laid off, don't start thinking, I'm useless. Because every employment changes, the world of work changes, and you constantly need to change with it. Have faith in yourself and build up. Don't focus on specific little technologies or narrow knowledge. Build up strong skills that are going to be generalizable and can be transferred. And that includes things like the ability to communicate with other people. Okay? It also includes self-discipline, like making a commitment and then following through. I mean, you may think, what does that have to do with engineering? But without commitment, engineering will just fail. So even if the employment situation is difficult, have faith in your own general abilities, and I think that'll carry you through. Okay, so Prao, what can you tell us, what went on in your group? It sounds like it was really amazing from what Eugene said.
Well, I'm sorry, I kind of dominate the conversation. But at the beginning, there's some question about, I'm not sure what is the question about, but so I told them about the long journey from the day that we program computer. I don't know if you like program like with hex, like no compiler that you have to look up in a book. Have you done that? Yeah, so like so it's a,
My first programming was with Fortran and Punch Card.
yeah, so she's punch card. I'm like post punch card. I'm like 5-inch. But after that, like like microcontroller programming back then, you just like look up a book, instruction code, convert to hex, and you punch in. Yeah, so that's why it's quite. So I share the story to the student that because technology like keep moving, we just have to learn. And don't be afraid that you're just gonna like, if you don't know that framework, those framework, you can learn. Like we've been like, I and Sally been through like so many like Fortran, like Forward, you try Forward. Yeah, so many languages, it's just language. It's not about logic. It's not about computer logic that you need. So don't be afraid of learning new things. And in your lifetime, you're gonna learn a lot of stuff. And then I try to pull back on the society topic. So I empower students that in Thailand, we have so many problems. Not just agriculture, I mean environmental, like equality, I mean the standard of living, even like air pollution, so big of a problem. And we need so many engineers and programmers to help it. We should help solving this. And if you get a chance to do some of these type of problem solving, it's really rewarding. You feel like you work so hard, and then when you think about like, oh, if I wake up tomorrow, I can do this, and then people can use that. It's so cool. I mean, it's such a good feeling. And when you fail, you feel like you want to fix it. And that's the thing that keep engineering going, is that you test, you fail, you test again, you fail again, you test again, until it works. It's not going to be one time. Trust me. I'm like failed so many times. But I just thought it's fun to fix it. Don't feel like the failure is something that you have to like live with or you're not good enough. When you fail something, you fix it. It's problem solving next goal. It's like next level of your game. And if you can do that, life is good. It's fun. You want to wake up, you want to go exercise, you don't want to die too soon. It's like, it's so positive. So think about it. Think about like, if you can like, I mean, for me now, it's like, oh, how can I make robot work in the field for real? Like I told them, like my first like grass cutting, the robot fall into a hole. I mean, just basic like that. We can't see hole. All these like, I mean, I don't know, like Tesla doesn't work with a hole, right? You have laser scanning, whatever. You can't see hole. And in an orchard, hole has grass. Even more difficult because it's not simply a hole. I drive that mower and fell into a hole. I can't even see it, right? And that's the beauty of testing. When I come back, okay, I cannot deploy it today. Come back, fix it again. Think about it, how are we gonna fix this problem? Or like the sprinkler, how are we gonna find that? That's the thing, that if you can enjoy your life like that, that see problem as challenge to fix, to contribute something to, then you get money. Because if it's a real problem, people pay for it. You can make a living. You can feel good about yourself because you do something meaningful. and then because of that, you propagate that good feeling, like what I'm trying to do now. Like you tell people that it's so nice to do this, and then they feel positive about their life, and they go like doing nice thing too. They solve more problem. And in Thailand, lucky we in this country, we have so many problems. So it's like not enough people to solve it.
But
you
so
don't-
many resources too.
Yes, so you
think
don't run out of problem. You don't really feel like, oh, people already invented. It's not true. If they invented, you don't have that problem. So that's why I want you to see that as an optimistic way. And then you feel good and you make money. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, I worry that a lot of young people I talk to are maybe too focused on making money. Because obviously you need money. You need to support yourself. You need to support your family. And you know, you don't want to starve. You want to be comfortable. But money is a very poor reason to do things. Because it will make you make choices that will make you unhappy frequently if you choose solely based on money. Whereas choosing based on what you like to do and also choosing based on like being able to do something positive for society, that's going to make you happy. So I really agree with you 100%. When I was living, before I moved to Thailand, I was working as a software engineering consultant. And we had our own company, and we were doing really quite well. So basically, I'd go in and work for other companies, helping them fix their software problems. They only call in consultants when things are hopeless. So it was always really challenging. But I didn't own it, you know? It wasn't my company. And ultimately, it was just kind of to make more money for the people who were employing me. And it became gradually less and less rewarding, even though the technical aspects of it were really interesting. And then I came to Thailand and took a job as a professor for very, very little money. Professors in Thailand do not get paid what they deserve, in my opinion. I'm not talking about CMKL, actually. CMKL is an exception. But, I mean, if you talk about your... But, all of a sudden, I was doing something for society. Namely, trying to help my students learn, prosper, be able to go out and solve problems for Thailand, right? So and that's very, very rewarding. And so I agree with you 100%. And I would say to you, don't make your choices based only on money. You'll be sorry. You'll be sorry. You want to say anything, Eugene, because you were in there, I know.
She said everything.
Oh, okay. She said everything?
I was in her class. Talk? I'll call it a talk.
You don't have to say anything if you don't want to.
I think she mentioned all the details.
Okay. Does anyone out there have anything you want to say? Anyone want to share your own experiences, or... I mean, we have a lot of guys here, but that's fine.
Actually, just a quick thinking that I had joining this really meaningful meeting, actually, is that you had the experience of being the first female or a lonely female in a really male environment. And something that I perhaps can share is that I was in male-only environment in the game development field. And so something you may not know, because there was not any female in game development, it was mostly in France, is that it's really, really bad environment when there is no female. As soon there is even just one female, everything changes. So it's difficult for you to be the first one, but really, believe me, it's worth it, because without this, let's say, reference and this existence that actually you have, male have to take into consideration, without that, it's, I mean, I cannot describe it without being rude to to all male present here, but it's really bad. So please, yes, do not be afraid to join. You will be welcome, and you may not see it, but you change really everything. So please, as many female in the development would be really, really welcome.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. I mean, I know exactly what you're talking about. So thank you. Let me say one more thing, and then we'll see if anybody else wants to say one more thing. But
I want to say one more.
okay, well, let me just one thing though that came to my mind when Lorenzo was talking. Even if you're the only woman in your particular organization, there are other women out there, and so I want to encourage you to network and connect with the other women that you know, including us. Okay, including stay in touch, you know, follow them on social media. When I look back, I had some really great teachers, and, you know, they were role models. And so even if you're the only person in your organization, you are part of a community of women engineers. So try and build that community. And that's what we're trying to do here with this kind of event as well, but we're kind of very small. Yes, Prao.
Oh, okay. One more thing is just that come to this event make me think back about when I was in high school. It's like when we are a girl, to think about engineering school, it's just kind of like we have so many choices. We good at art, like I mean, I like drawing pictures, I like music, I like reading novels, and I'm so confused. Because I understand physics and mathematics is fun too. Everything is fun. And I kind of wonder, like, why would I choose engineering when I can draw a picture for a living back then? I was like, I want to do like product design, but now that come to look back at it, if you have that kind of problem, like you like everything, being in science and engineering is so good because it's harder to start picking up when you're older. I want you to understand that point a little bit. It's like if I want to quit my job today and try to write a novel, I think I can do it if I put my heart into. But if I now and I want to go into robotics, it's going to be so hard. So many things to learn. So if you have to make that choice when you were young, which path is like better? Just choose the hard one. It will be easier in the long run. You have more choice. I try to emphasize about freedom. You should have freedom in your life. Every time of your life, you should have that freedom. I mean, I limit my freedom at the moment. I cannot be medical doctor, for example. There's some point in my life that I decide, okay, I can't do that now. It's too long to go to medical school to get qualification. But choose your field of study that provide you with that freedom. And then you can later on, you can choose. You can limit it down. Like now, like during COVID, I learned so many things. I learned sailing. I learned sourdough making. I learned pottery. You can do it at any age. But with the harder one, it's going to be harder. I cannot be like nuclear physicist now. It's too much to me, for me to do. So just keep in mind, you are young. Choose the difficult one. And then your life will be easy and good.
I would like to add to that for a little bit because actually this is for like workforce that this might not be applicable for students right now, but later on in life when you're like 40 years old or above, changing career, like what Kun Phan said, might be actually hard. But actually last month in Singapore on the 26th of February, the Singaporean government actually in the parliament, they actually have a discussion about actually passing a new law where they're actually going to subsidize for their citizens over 40 years old because they see that the potential because Singaporean actually focus mainly on the brain. That's their export. Not human brain, but like, yeah, intellectually. But I was actually looking at that discussion, and they basically would subsidize for the citizens that are over 40 years old to actually go into like getting another degree on tech or AI, because like for them like even so that they older generation could still be relevant in the workforce. So there's still other options to, yeah.
Anyone else have any thoughts, ideas, inspirations, questions? Well, thank you very, very much for joining us today. And if all goes well, we'll do our 4th annual International Women's Day program next year. And maybe some of you we might see there. And I want to please thank again our panelists, Dr. Prow, Ben, and Eugene. We're really glad that you could be here. Thank you. And so we're going to hang around until about 7 if you want to just hang around and talk to people, you know. Network, like I said. Thanks again. Oh, they're going to take a photo? Oh, of course they're going to take a photo. They always take a photo. So where do you want us? So if you have a few minutes, you might take a look at the posters. One of the aspects of our program at CMKL is that our students start doing research and development projects from their very first semester. And so it's quite hard, as Eugene was saying, but it's a great way to learn. And some of the posters are really fascinating. So